Welcome back, viewers. This is The Real Deal, Ball State's one and only entertainment news show. I'm Logan Sowash.
And I'm Madeline Wait, you guys...
Yeah, we have a mistake. Sorry about that, viewers. Welcome to the 13th season of The Real Deal. I'm Angelo Auriemma.
And I'm Brunsman. And wait, so just to be clear, I'm not hosting with Logan?
No, yeah, like he's dead. And we took a photo together when we got the spots. I mean, like they told us at the same time. We were both there.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot. Well, it's always nice to see new members joining The Real Deal.
No, Eli, I've been on for 2 seasons now. I've been making jokes, I've been ranting a lot. You remember me?
Yeah. Anyway, returning to the show, we have Ben Sparrow, Shelby Deal, and a whole lot more. So from Ball State University, The Real Deal starts now. Are the voices in your head singing the Real Deal theme again?
No, sorry, no, I'm just dancing to the new Real Deal theme. The voices in my head are saying entirely different things.
Great. Well, if Unified Media wasn't going to kick us out before this, it definitely will now.
Well, the joke's on Unified Media because we have already pulled ourselves from it.
Oh, so are we pulling a Disney now?
What, you mean selfishly pulling our content from third-party streaming services in a blatant cash grab? No, of course not. But here to talk about someone who is our very own Ben Sparrow. Ben?
Thanks, guys. Welcome to Hollywood Headlines, where I break down the headlines in Hollywood. And with that, let's just jump into it. In case Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, YouTube Red, CBS All Access, the DC Comics streaming service, and other streaming platforms weren't already eating away at your pocketbook, Disney has now decided to take a bite out of your hard-earned dough. Disney CEO Bob Iger has announced that they are severing ties with Netflix in 2019 and introducing their own rival service. The as-of-now untitled Disney service will be a, quote, treasure trove for all things related to the House of Mouse. Currently, Netflix and Disney are partnered to release all new Disney movies for the streaming service only on Netflix, 7 to 9 months after theatrical release. Additionally, the Marvel Netflix shows are a big draw for Netflix subscribers, and many begin to wonder what Bob Iger is planning to do with such properties. Well, the silence has been broken. Disney is planning on removing all content under their studio banner, which means that Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, and Disney Originals are all being pulled. So it looks like Luke Cage, Daredevil, Iron Fist, and the other Marvel Netflix properties will be removed in late 2019. This all seems really bad for consumers, right? Well, sort of. It's definitely going to hurt your pocketbook. But how is Disney going to coax you away from their rivals? It's simple. They're going to put everything on their service. Iger assures consumers that it will have the entire output of the studio, animation, live action at Disney, including Pixar, Star Wars, and all the Marvel films. So starting in late 2019, you can watch Darth Vader and Dory back to back. Additionally, they are planning on releasing 5 new films for the streaming service. No word yet on how much the service will cost, but with all of Disney's properties on the site, I'm guessing it probably won't be cheap. Unless you're making bank like Tony Stark is making Iron Man suits, you might want to set aside some funds starting in late 2019. My mother always gets mad at me when I'm not specific. Apparently, it is not specific enough when describing objects. But how is this for specific? Stephen King's It earned a reported $123 million in its opening weekend, originally projected at $50 million, then $60, then after Thursday night preview $75 million, and finally $100 million. It has exceeded all expectations for an R-rated horror flick. The record for an R-rated horror film prior to its opening was Paranormal Activity 3 at $52 million. More than doubling that number, it has grossed the most out of any September release ever, beating out Hotel Transylvania 2 at $48 million. Now, Deadpool still takes the cake as the #1 R-rated film at $130 million its opening weekend, but it has blown away all expectations. Home Again came in second at $9 million, representing the 4th largest difference between first and second place at the box office ever. For a clown movie, it's not joking around. Speaking of clowns, let's talk about the clown prince of crime, shall we? Actually, let's talk about Warner Brothers in general. Warner Brothers recently announced a standalone Joker movie produced by Martin Scorsese. The movie will take place outside of the DCEU and will be a gritty 80s thriller. Scorsese's longtime relationship with Leonardo DiCaprio was a big win for the studio, who reportedly has Leo DiCaprio as their first choice for the Joker. DCEU Joker Jared Leto is displeased with the news, and many wonder if introducing 2 incarnations of a Joker would confuse the audiences. But Warner Brothers is used to criticism by now. Their extensive and costly Justice League reshoots are taking a long time, and Joss Whedon, who replaced Zack Snyder, is reshooting most of the movie. He even hired Danny Elfman to score the film, replacing Junkie XL as the composer. The whole drama regarding Justice League is another topic for another video, but another director change, is fair game for this one. Gavin O'Connor is now going to write and direct the sequel to Suicide Squad, and after names like Mel Gibson were thrown around for the position. Looks like Suicide Squad 2 is now officially on the ever-changing roster of upcoming DC films. The real question I am asking is how much longer will DC fans put their faith in Warner Brothers' decision-making? It seems to me like they don't know how to run an extended universe. Only time will tell, but their hit-and-miss track record isn't reassuring. Well, that'll do it for me for this week. For more information on these and other stories, get off your couch. Till next time, I'm Ben Sparrow.
Thanks, Ben. You know, Angelo, Ben is really good at impressions. But the question is, can you do an impression of Ben?
Ooh, I don't know. I think I can try it. All right, here we go. Oh, look at me, I'm Ben.
That's horrible, and it doesn't sound anything like Ben.
Agree to disagree on that. In fact, if I was standing on this side of you doing that voice and the real Ben Sparrow was on that side, it would sound like Ben Sparrow in stereo.
Okay, how about this? Impersonate me.
Okay, let me get the energy real quick. Okay. I'm Eli, oh, look at me.
But that's the exact same voice. You know what? Let's just move on to the next segment. Here's Whitney Perry with this week's Music Minute. Whitney?
Well, it looks like John Legend will be heading back to his producer chair and will be teaming up with Netflix to produce a new hip-hop competition series called Rhythm and Flow. Legend wanted to focus more on his music since his recent cancellation of the WGN America series, Underground. Former NBC exec Jeff Gaspin and his Primary Wave Entertainment Company will be joining with the Grammy award-winning singer on the producing of the new hip-hop series. Rhythm and Flow will serve as Netflix's first strike into the talent discovery sphere. Legend will also be developing a new WGN series called Black Wall Street as well. Both series will set an official premiere date soon. To all you Bay High lovers, as you all know, Beyonce's birthday passed, and it was such a big holiday. While celebrating Bay's 36th birthday, her friends and family donned over her now iconic wide-brimmed hat and the sack necklace to pay the homage to her formation look. Beyonce gave out proof on her website, giving her fans some costume party fodder to soak up. These photos were also accompanied by a link to a fundraiser for Hurricane Harvey. Beyonce's family and friends also took on the singer's character from the Lemonade music video. Even her daughter Blue Ivy recreated her mom's braids and everything. Taylor Swift's Look What You Made Me Do had made it another week of being #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Meanwhile, Cardi B bumps with Bodak Yellow, marking the first time in 3 years that solo women ranked at numbers 1 and 2 on the Hot 100. The Hot 100 haven't had this happen since December 2014 when Swift was ranked #1 with the song Blank Space. Proud of both women. That's all I have today. Until next time, I'm Whitney Perry.
Thanks, Whitney. You know, I would do an impression of you, but I'm all out of steam.
Thank God.
Hey, you win some, you lose some. But who knows, maybe the writers will give me an elaborate scheme for after this break. Or maybe I'll just shamelessly plug our new web-exclusive segments on YouTube.
Because we all know our viewers can't get enough of us.
Exactly. So this week, be sure to check out Brandon Krakowski do an exhaustive and exhausting analysis on the latest season of Twin Peaks.
Spoiler alert, it's double the length of even his longest, most rambly segments. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Twin Peaks is the greatest television show of all time. I don't care what any of these nerds babbling about Game of Thrones in the control room have to say. There has been no better vision of the possibilities of television than the masterful noir experimentation of Mr. David Lynch and Mr. Mark Frost. The tragic death of teenage Laura Palmer opened up a wide world of incredible characters, dark secrets, and bonkers mythology for its viewers. And Lynch and Company fearlessly moved forward in their own bold way, never sacrificing vision for convention. Over the summer, Showtime aired Twin Peaks: The Return. This third season, literally taking place 25 years after the show's original run, is arguably the best season of the entire show, and a late career masterpiece for Lynch, the season's sole director.
Welcome back, viewers. Hey, Angelo, have you ever been locked out of heaven?
No, but actually I heard that the writers got locked out of the Unified Media Lab while writing this week's episode.
That explains the quality of this episode.
Yeah, it definitely isn't 24 carats.
But we like them
Just the way they are. Oh my God. Okay, sweet. Okay, we messed up there, but that's okay. I see that you like my love. You share my love rather of making Bruno Mars puns.
Of course. Now here to catch a grenade for you.
Too far. Okay, Eli, Shelby Deal, get us out of here, please.
This summer, I went to the Bruno Mars concert in Indianapolis. It was a spiritual experience, let me tell you. That's how good it was. So here's a list of reasons why Bruno Mars is so amazing in concert. First off, the songs he performed were perfect. All of his songs are great, but the way he arranged them made the show that much better. One song he performed was That's What I Like, which is my all-time favorite song. This song was placed in the first section of the show, which was a smart move because it was a single. Most people would know it, so having it early would get a lot of people hyped early on in the show. Another song he played was When I Was Your Man. This song was great as well because it is so different from the other songs he performed. Most of his songs are upbeat and generally happy, and this one is slow and kind of really sad. It provided a nice contrast and break with all the other screaming, jumping, and dancing around songs. Another song he sang that was exciting was Runaway Baby. This was a surprise because it was from his very first album, so it was very nostalgic for me because that is the album where I fell in love with his music. I'm sure other people had similar experiences. Another aspect of his show that we have to talk about is the spectacle. His album was called 24K Magic, so I would be expecting it to be a little ostentatious. Although ever since the music video for Uptown Funk came out, I've come to expect that Bruno Mars is a little extra. After the opening performance and before he came on stage, there was this big all-white curtain dropped down to cover the entire stage. There was gold on it that had a crown with Mars on it. The white was very clean and bright and a little shiny. It was all very regal, which was enhanced by the crown on it as well. Another part of the show was that there were fireworks that went off on stage during some of the songs. This was a tiny bit distracting, but you got used to it after a while. There was also fire on stage during Grenade, which kind of intensified the song. His overall performance was the best concert I ever been to. He has got to be one of the best and entertaining live performers today. He has a live band with an array of instruments, which is not seen as much anymore. He dances in a James Brown or Michael Jackson kind of style, which adds to the wow factor. It makes watching the performance that much more exciting. He also has an amazing voice live. It is just as good, if not better, than the studio version. So, in conclusion, this was probably one of the best days of my life.
You know what was one of the best days of my life, Angelo?
When Ari got announced as the new Bachelor?
No.
Okay, when Anna Faris and Chris Pratt announced their separation.
No, that was one of the worst.
Okay, I give up, I'm sorry.
Any day Kanye West decides to drop new music.
Oh, right, well how could I forget? You know, the guy has made such an impact. He married a Kardashian, he can handle Taylor Swift shade, and he's really good at directions, especially Northwest.
That's not exactly what I was thinking, but anyway, here to tell us more on this music industry icon is our very own Rob White. Rob?
There is no doubt that Kanye West has made an impact on the music of this new generation of listeners. With his distinct production to his lyrical content to his astonishing 68 Grammy nominations and 21 wins, Kanye has solidified himself as one of the best hip-hop artists of all time. His work definitely speaks for itself, with all of his albums reaching some height of critical acclaim. Although one stands out for its initial experimentation and funky upbeat production, and that is his album Graduation, which the artist dropped on September 11th, 2007. Being that the 10-year anniversary for the project had just passed, and that Kanye West is still a prevalent figure in the music world, diving into the history of graduation should be a given, right? Following the success of the previous two albums, The College Dropout and Late Registration, Kanye West's presence not only in the hip-hop world but also in the music world as a whole was definitely felt. With hits such as Gold Digger, Slow Jams, and Touch the Sky, it seemed as if Kanye had the Midas touch in hip-hop, making every song he was involved with turn into gold. But Kanye did not let his previous music define his future actions. When he dropped Graduation, listeners noticed a very distinct and stylized shift in sound of the songs. In short, it didn't sound like his previous albums. Although experimenting with new sounds is something Kanye West does on a regular basis today, back in 2007, when most of hip-hop was mimicking sounds of rappers such as Lil Wayne, 50 Cent, and T.I., this major change was a major risk. Despite the risk, Kanye ran with this new album and it was a major success, gaining almost 1 million sales in its first week alone. Fans loved his new upbeat songs like Champion, Good Life, and of course, the Daft Punk sampled song Stronger. This new synth-based style of sampling was a huge contrast to his usual R&B sounding production, especially in the age where gangster rap was in the forefront. But in this case of record sales and critical acclaim, different is not always a bad thing. Without the risk Kanye took while making Graduation, hip-hop would most likely be in a different place than where it is today. If Kanye never would have changed his style up and stuck to his usual production that he showcased on College Dropout and Late Registration, then he most likely would have never evolved into the artist that he is today. But to fans such as myself, I'm thankful that he was courageous enough to take that risk. So on my behalf, I'd like to wish Graduation a happy 10th birthday and a thank you to Mr. Kanye West for providing music that impacts people's lives in a unique way. That's all I got for now. Until next time, I'm Rob White.
You know what's impacted me in a unique way?
No. What?
The delicious taste of pineapples on pizza.
Okay. Well, Eli, I thought that this debate, died last year along with the previous hosts. So.
This debate will never die. Pineapple on pizza is just too tempting to ignore.
You gotta be joshing me, Brunsman. I mean, pineapple does not belong on pizza in any way, shape, or form.
I disagree, but I say we settle this over break.
All right, fine by me. We'll be right back.
Please, come in. Hello.
Hello. He's a stranger. We're just gonna let him sleep in our house. Hello.
Hello.
Did you know he had a wife? He has pictures of you in his luggage.
What were you doing in their luggage?
So what do I need to know about this guy?
He's a warrior. Best I've ever known.
Some bad things happened to you. Now you want to kill those mean old terrorists. You think that qualifies you for my selection process?
My guess is if you and I go hand to hand, you can probably figure out inside of 20 seconds whether or not I have what it takes to make it through selection process. So, what do you say?
Jaded. I started out as idealistic as any of your friends over there.
You're 50 years old and you still think that the world was made for you.
Oh, I'm 47. Sometimes I worry that people think of me as a failure.
Oh, that's right. You have your little thing. Oh, that is a cool thing that you do. That is good stuff.
Don't you understand? When Clay can eat pineapple on pizza. Oh, look what you made me do, Eli. You made me miss my cue.
Moving swiftly into the next segment, here's Madison McGill with this week's rant.
Warning, this review is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, so sit tight. The one good thing I can say about Taylor Swift is that her songs are super catchy. Do I necessarily like them? No. Do they get stuck in my head? Yes. As we've all heard, Taylor has already released 2 new songs off her new record Reputation, which apparently showcases the new Taylor, but she's like a new Taylor with every album, so I don't get what the big deal is. I say she's having a never-ending identity crisis. Anyway, the first song she released was Look What You Made Me Do, and it's of course a shade track. In the video, she throws shade at like 20 different people, Kanye, Kim, Katy. We get it, Taylor. You can't let things go. And now look what you made me do. I have to express my frustration about it with this review. First off, the video for this song is freaking insane and not subtle in any way, shape, or form, and just a huge hot mess. Also, I don't see how she's reinventing herself when she looks just as dramatic as she did in the Bad Blood music video. Second, I completely agree that this sounds like the basis of that one song, I'm Too Sexy for My Shirt, which really can only be pulled off by Prince Charming in Shrek 2, and that's even a stretch. Way to be original, Swift. Also, does anyone remember what Katie and Taylor are feuding back? Because I don't. Make Like Elsa and Let It Go. I will give the song this. It is catchy, and doesn't it get stuck in my head so I'm forced to listen to it on Spotify until it's gone? Which, didn't Taylor also have a feud with Spotify? Who is she not fighting with? Also, Taylor, can we cut the talking from the songs, please? It's been overused in previous tracks and kind of unnecessary. Okay, I'll try to calm down for this next song, but no promises. I'll be honest, I was hopeful for Ready For It when I heard the beginning of the song. It was intense, and I appreciated that. Then it went downhill from there. Because guess what? It's about another relationship. Apparently, songs about her relationships didn't die with the old Taylor. Darn. In this song, she addresses how she's known as a serial dater, and I think she's just embracing it at this point. I don't really know. And even though this song is about her current relationship, there's still shade towards past ones. I think this album is going to be catchy shade tunes. I don't dig it. The songs don't stand out against others on the radio. They don't scream, wow, this is amazing to me. I'm not a fan. Based on these songs, I say Reputation is a failing too, and unoriginal. I'm ready for it, but I don't want to be. Sorry, I just had to let that out. I'm Madison McGill. See you next time.
Wow, you could say Madison and Taylor really have some bad blood between them.
I wonder how the Real Deal's resident T-Swizzle enthusiast Kyle Wooldridge feels about that.
I don't know, but Kyle, are you coming out? Stop. Kyle's coming out of the booth right now with a chair? Okay, switch to Noah Bowler for the movie recommendations.
Hello, everyone. If you lived under a rock like I did this summer, this segment is for you. I'm going to be recapping a few of the summer's best movies that I scrambled to watch before we shot this episode. While I was off guarding lives at a camp, Marvel released their newest Guardians of the Galaxy installment, and Christopher Nolan finally gave us one of the most highly anticipated movies of the summer, Dunkirk. So without further ado, I'm going to run you through 5 movies from this summer that you need to see if you haven't already. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is the 5th most successful movie in the box office this year so far, following up a standout performance from the first installment in the series. Guardians 2 picks up right where the first movie left off. The original cast is back, and although he's a little smaller than before, Groot is equally as comical. Admittedly, I like the first movie a little better, but Guardians 2 remains a must-see if you're into great music and witty humor. Christopher Nolan has done it, folks. Dunkirk broke the box offices on its release day. Regarded now as one of the greatest war films ever made by many critics, Dunkirk put Mel Gibson's Hacksaw Ridge to shame with brutal practical effects. Dunkirk employed thousands of extras and an actual fleet of European ships, much like the ones actually used in the war. Plus, Harry Styles is in it. It's a natural film that will tug at your heartstrings when you least expect it, and this is probably my favorite movie on the list. On another note, Logan Lucky was released in a somewhat underhyped haze. However, this film starring Channing Tatum, Adam Driver, yes folks, Adam Driver, and Daniel Craig is wonderfully written and equally well shot. The plots revolved around robbing a NASCAR race, which is exactly what one would expect from the same actor who played Kylo Ren. Either way, this film is a gem in what could be considered a slow summer for Hollywood. Check it out. And possibly the most anticipated release from this summer, Wonder Woman played to the femme fatale in all of us when we saw her for the first time on screen. She evokes a classic heroism that, or should I say heroinism, that is a breath of fresh air and nods to Christopher Reeve's approach to Superman from the 1970s. Likewise, Chris Pine matches her hopefulness with a world weariness and sharp sense of humor. He's more than capable at bringing an emotional complexity to a character most aptly described as a dude in distress. This is a very well done film, and although there are some particularly rough chances that it doesn't take, I'd watch it again. And to wrap things up, I'd like to introduce you guys to a film called Baby Driver. After being forced into working for a crime boss, one Ansel Elgort turns himself into a getaway driving maniac. John Bernthal proves once again why he's the in-house impressionist with a performance that is just as supplementary to Elgort as he is to Brad Pitt in Fury. If you liked Fast and Furious and you thought Talladega Nights was funny, stop in and check out Baby Driver. That's all for now, folks. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Noah.
Kyle sure has a mean side to him.
Your wet pants speak volumes to that. We'll be right back with our final word.
Guys! Don't tell me that's
Good. Georgie wore galoshes.
Whose sneaker is it? It's Betty Ripsom's.
What if she's still here?
Oh my God. Wait, you're Lillian Stewart? That's awesome. Really?
And I'm pretty sure this is John Kinney's house.
Hold on, how do you know all of this?
I stumbled into that room back there with all your dad's stuff. I'm sorry, I just got a little lost. I'm a huge fan of your father's.
You're John Kinney's daughter?
Yes, she is. And you are? Yeah. Am I free to head home now?
Not
yet. No.
As fun
I
as
want to
this
tell you
is-
that I'm sorry for everything. It's all my fault. You deserve better than that. I just want to say that,
Really? What happened to the seatbelt rule?
The trial continues.
One of the world's most brutal dictators.
With a key witness to testify.
I'm an executive protection agent. My job is to keep you out of harm's way.
For my final word today, I'd like to start off the season by talking about one of the many Netflix shows I binged this summer. Described as a heartfelt comedy, Atypical is one of the best shows I've watched in 2017. This series depicts the struggles of a teenager named Sam after his therapist thinks he should try dating. Sam is on the autism spectrum and his mom is extremely protective, so the thought of Sam dating sends her into a frenzy of stress. We get to see Sam work on relationships in all facets of life, from family to friends, even to potential girlfriends. In shows starring a teenage main character, many writers don't characterize parents at all, which leaves flat and pointless roles in the series. But the parents in Atypical were very well developed, which was refreshing to see. I loved seeing Sam improve his relationship with his father, while his mother went through a sort of midlife crisis. Also, Sam's sister, Casey, was one of my favorite characters on the show. Casey and Sam's relationship was beautiful to watch, and it was something unexpected in this comedy. Atypical uses nuanced humor and emotional scenes to hook the viewer with its very first episode. Even though its first season only had 8 short episodes, the writers were able to make it feel complete. Unfortunately, Netflix hasn't announced whether it will be renewing Atypical for a second season, but if they do, I will be there to finish it within a week. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Eli Brunsman, and I'll talk to you again next week.
Similar to Eli, I also had the benefit of watching a lot of great content over the summer, but for my final word this week, I wanted to delve deep into a movie I just saw that really disappointed me. The film just came out last week, and if you somehow aren't aware of it, it's about a group of young people just being tormented. And honestly, how uncomfortable it made me caught me really off guard. Now, as a huge fan of the actors and the premise, it shocked me that I really couldn't get invested in either the characters or the plot. It felt like a cheap cash grab, something without a lot of heart or passion put into it. I mean, you've seen all the ideas before time and time again in the various films of its genre, and as a whole, I really can't wrap my head around how this movie's getting a pass and not being nailed for its confusing and inconsistent writing. Admittedly, the writers were successful in concocting by far the scariest film of the summer season, but I wish that it had held that badge with pride and ran with it instead of being back and forth in its tone, You see, at times, I couldn't tell if it wanted to be a horror movie or some unfunny comedy with just romantic elements shoved in. The dialogue was cringeworthy, and as a whole, I just felt more uncomfortable and awkward than it did thrilling or exciting. I didn't feel invested in the experience. It scared me out of my mind, for sure. It made me chuckle at times, but that doesn't always necessarily make for an entertaining theater-going experience. I mean, at the end of the day, Reese Witherspoon was charming as always, but her desire to romance these young men just came off as more of a cheap literotica than it did as a compelling rom-com. She did a solid job of making her motivation known, but her quest to fall in love with a guy who's essentially still an infant was so in line with modern-day shock value and a certain level of cheese that I feel we must graduate from if we want to take the rom-com genre with any bit of a grain of salt. For those reasons, I sadly cannot recommend Home Again to you. However, I did see it this weekend. That was pretty good.
That took a turn.
Oh, get used to it, sister. With this ball of intense emotions, we wrap up the show for this week. Be sure to check us out on our website, Facebook, Twitter pages for news and updates on all things entertainment. I'm Angelo Auriemma.
And I'm Eli Brunsman. We'll see you next time.